Yo, what's up guys, it's Yeti here. Welcome back to another video. So today I want to discuss how to fix or improve or, change Mythic Plus in Season 1 of The War Within so it fits more with, what the community wants and, with the competitive aspect that comes with Mythic Plus. First, we'll discuss some things that are already changed in Season 1 of Mythic Plus. There were some hotfixes that dropped last Friday. Then we'll talk about some of the upcoming changes that are coming on Wednesday or Tuesday, depending on which day is reset in your region. And lastly, I'll give some of my own input and some of my own thoughts on how to make Mythic Plus more competitive and more appealing to the players of World of Warcraft right now. So the first thing that we'll talk about today is actually a change that I was talking about on my stream all the time because I think it was the only logical thing to do. Drop Gilded crests, so they already dropped from +8s. This was the exact change that me and my friends were talking about that should be done because the range of which you were getting runed crests was just way too high. Also considering that runed crests are, used for both champion and hero track, and then you cap out at that point, and Gilded crests are going to be primarily used for crafting if you're a Mythic Plus only player, or if you're a Mythic Raider, then you're probably going to be maxing out your raid drops as well. Alternatively, Mythic Plus players also have access to their weekly vaults, and they can use Gilded crests to upgrade that gear, but a lot of that comes down to luck, while realistically every 2 weeks you will be using at least 90 Gilded crests on upgrading your, or rather crafting your embellishments first, and then other slots where you want to have higher item level, and after that you can invest those into Mythic track weapons or Mythic track gear you might get from your vault. This change is already live. Now, last Friday, they have also changed the affixes, the new affixes that came with the War Within. This is also live, and I'm super happy about this. So first off, they increased the duration of buffs granted by Xal'ata's Bargain to 30 seconds. It was previously 20 seconds. And now the second affix, called Xal'ata's Guile, increases the enemy's health and damage by 10%. This was previously 20%. So they have just gotten enough data at this point to see that these affixes need to be a little bit stronger, a little bit more impactful, and to punish the players less, which is good. I like this change. I don't think there's anything bad about this change at all because these affixes are the new thing, and I'm gonna guess each season we will have a little bit different affixes going on, and something that is present like for going to be present for like 2-3 more months should probably be monitored and looked at, and how the numbers are working around this. So good changes overall, nothing bad to say here. Now there are a few more changes that are coming with the weekly reset. So on October 15th, first off, let's talk about Necrotic Wake. They are making Zul'Ram's Gatekeeper's Wrath of Zul'Ram's hurt less. That's one of the big caster mobs in the dungeon. That's just good. A lot of people get caught off guard by that and killed. They're reducing it by 25%, which is quite a lot, but I think, again, this is good, especially on Fortified. This hurts a lot. The second change to adds is that Skeletal Monstrosity's enemy forces contribution is increased by 20%. Skeletal's Monstrosity is unavoidable, so the fact that they're buffing it by flat 20% is really good. I actually have to go and check out how the count goes with this change, how many more mobs you can skip, but good change overall because it was not avoiding as much and you had to kill it every single time. Now the big change in Necrotic Wake on the weekly reset is going to be how the Bloody Javelins work. Bloody Javelins are the active items that you can pick up on the ground from Necrotic Wake, and then by using your extra action button you throw the javelin at the monster and you do a percentage, like just a flat damage amount, and you also increase the amount of damage that you do to that mob by like 20% or something for a couple of seconds. Previously, what you would do is you would stack all of these spears, and the moment that Surgeon Stitch Flesh would be hooked, you would use all of them, and you would just try to nuke him and one-phase him. Now, because they no longer stack, you'll have to be a lot smarter with how you use them. Surgeon Stitch Flesh's health was also reduced by 20%, and his creation's Fostering Rod damage has been reduced by 30%. So what they're trying to do here, and that's just the idea, and probably how you will be doing this from now on, is you will try to kill Surgeon Stitch Flesh in 2 phases. So you're going to hook him, then you're going to kill him and the creation, and then use the second creation to hook the Surgeon Stitch Flesh. What you can also alternatively do is use the first creation's hook, and then kill the creation, and then only have, again, Surge and Stitch Flesh out and the creation out. Because the Fostering Draw damage being reduced by 30% is really big. This is what was causing a lot of wipes, is because it was killing your group. But don't forget that having 2 creations out is still going to kill your tank, because they have not changed how Mutilate works and how, your tank taking more physical damage and getting one shot works there. So I think what they're trying to do is they don't want to trivialize the boss by making you use all of your bloody javelins and one phase it, but instead they want you to understand how, the specifics of that dungeon works, and then you can use only one javelin as soon as he's hooked the first time, or alternatively you could save one more for the second phase of hook, but this depends on your key level, and then you just kill the boss normally. He has less health, 20%. That's quite a big nerf. But I don't know if it's going to actually compensate for all of the javelins you were using, because the javelins actually stack. They're higher damage the higher you go into key. They scale together with the dungeon. But I think 2-phasing it is going to be very normal and very feasible after these changes, which is good. I think you should all reread the abilities of that boss if you struggled on it, and you can just now do it the legitimate, natural way. This comes with some other changes that are good for the dungeons as well, though, because Bloody Javelins will no longer stack. You will probably not use all 3 on the 3rd boss. So instead, what you could do is you could use the Javelins on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th boss on pull, and pop together with your CDs and do a lot of damage, because, as I said, Javelins do a flat damage based on the key level, and they also increase the damage dealt to the target for, I think it's 16 seconds or something like that. So you'll have to be a little bit smarter with how you use your weapons and javelins and things like that and communicate it through. But realistically, I think this is a good change, and this is going to actually promote some different usage of weapons. Also, the fact that, the way that weapons and, orbs and everything works in Necrotic Wake is the one that you picked up recently is the first one you will be using, right? So keep that in mind when you're, crafting a strat for this dungeon. But overall, I think there's going to be a little bit more creativity, a little bit more freedom with these weapons, and overall very exciting changes. Now, there's another dungeon that has been changed with this week's reset, and it's Stonevault changes on October 15th. The first boss that is getting nerfed is Scar Morak, which is the big rock boss. His health is being reduced by 10% flat. Pretty big nerf. He is now going to be stunned for 4 seconds after Fortified Shell is broken. And lastly, his Crystalline Eruption damage has been reduced by 15%. So once again, what they're doing is they're making the boss, easier if you're doing it correctly, which is good. You should be doing all of these bosses correctly. They're not just going to make it so that, now you can ignore mechanics. Not at all. So his health being reduced by 10% makes the boss fight shorter. It makes you have more freedom with, playing the mechanics correctly. Him being stunned for 4 seconds after the shell is broken is huge. That is even more free DPS. It's actually a massive buff of, ×2 duration. So you can go ham on the boss after the shell is broken. And, with the changes to the eruption, all they're basically doing it is you can, have some errors happen with the eruption, potentially if you stack it on the lower keys. And for higher keys, all they're doing is making your group take less damage each time you destroy a shell. And, you will still have to make sure to not stack them. So this is still going to make the boss fight easier. But you probably still will die if you stack them, because the damage that stacks is so high that you need to make sure that the debuffs drops every time you kill a single shell. And they're also nerfing the final boss called Void Speaker Irich. He is getting his health reduced by 10% flat, and they're also increasing the cooldown of Entropic Reckoning. Overall, this boss was not, in my opinion, not the hardest. Again, it was a very straightforward boss where you had to do the tactics properly to kill him, and getting a 10% health reduction on him is good. I think Stonevault overall was one of the harder dungeons. That's why they have decided to nerf this. But again, they've nerfed it in ways that makes the key or the dungeon easier if you do it properly, or on lower keys. It never really mattered that much if you did it properly or not. But, I think one of the most important things is when you start off on lower keys, you should still do these dungeons properly so you don't, get muscle memory of doing them wrong, and then you get to a +10 and then you wipe. So overall, these are really, really good changes. However, I have some more recommendations for Mythic Plus, and some of these are going to be a little bit maybe extreme. So that's why I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But I think that Mythic Plus needs to change the way that the key system works, especially now that we had delves. Delves, in opinion of a lot of people, are actually ruining Mythic Plus because they are, adding a lot of easy content for the players to get either champion or heroic track gear from, and they're also giving you 616 vault, which is I think as high as a +7 in Mythic Plus, which is crazy. I think the difficulty difference between a +7 and a delve is crazy. So the first thing I would change is how heroic track works. Right now, heroic track is not worth upgrading further than the runed crest cap. So you are getting your heroic track gear up to 619, which is actually as high as champion track goes. So, as I said earlier, you're probably saving all of your mythic crests for crafts. That is what you're doing first on your character. And right now you have 4 crests available. So you can make 4 items into 636. And after that, you can start using your mythic crests by spending them on mythic items that you got either from raid or from your vault by doing +10s or by doing the mythic raid. And that's the most optimal way of using that. I think what they should do is extend the heroic track gear further or reduce the strength of the champion track gear and not make it scale that high. I think those two are probably extending heroic track is better because you don't want to obviously nerf champion track gear after it's already been out. I think they maybe made a mistake when they released champion track gear being able to go that far. And by extending the heroic track gear further, you will have more potential upgrades. It's still not going to be the most worth because, getting a vault item is still better and upgrading that is still better. But at least it's going to have some sort of, upgrade track available on the champion track gear. And you'll be like, okay, this gear can go really, really high by using mythic track on it. I can make it really high on level, so I'll actually invest and it's actually worth it. But as of right now, as I said, you're mainly just going to be hoarding all of your mythic crests anyways for crafts and for potential vault gear. So I think that, the fact that you can technically speaking just spam vaults and then try to get as high with key level and you're like not even depending on drops in any way, shape or form is kind of awkward. And also I have a bit of a problem with the vault system right now where, technically speaking, you can do delves on any character, and the next step is just doing +10s. That's like the only, there's literally no middle ground, and the difficulty levels are, way too high between these two activities. And the second hot take of this video, the last hot take of this video, is going to be changes on how to enter keys. Or actually, I don't even want to call them keys. I want to call it Mythic Plus. So Mythic Plus right now requires a key. When you do not finish a dungeon in time, or when somebody leaves your key, you have to reform the group. You're going to drop a level of the key, and if you actually completed your dungeon, you get a key to go into a different dungeon. And if people left your dungeon, you have to remake a group for the same exact dungeon. Imagine there was a system of scaling difficulties in World of Warcraft for some sort of group activities where you could select which level you want to enter. And if all of your group members have completed the level under that, they can just enter the activity of that specific level all at once. Leader selects start and we all enter in, and we can redo this because we have done the previous levels already. We have passed the previous levels. This is the system that is currently active in delves in World of Warcraft, the War Within. I think that this system would work for Mythic Plus as well. I don't think you should punish players, with keys and being limited to what they will be playing based on an RNG, not even tied to their skill in any way, shape, or form. On Wednesday, you open your vault, all of your friends open your vault, and then you decide which dungeon you'll be doing based on that. Maybe it was kind of cool when it first came out, the system first came out, but I really don't think that this is how Mythic Plus should work anymore. If you're a solo player and you want to get certain drops, you just go into the LFG group finder and you're applying to that exact key that other players have. This is an MMORPG. I don't think there's a reason for you to be like, oh, we don't have mists with my group. I'm going to leave my group and I'm going to find a random group that has a mist key so I can do mist because I need Unbound Changeling or something like that. I think that if a player has passed, let's say, a Mythic Plus on levels 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they should have the ability to just enter a 7. I think this would promote players playing the game more, especially on whatever level they want. You would just be able to redo +10s, depending on whether you want to farm the same dungeon or you want to do it for vault. It doesn't really matter. Of course, this would cause some balance issues because people would probably just spam the same dungeon over and over again on a +10 because they would, with a pre-made group, because they would want to fill their vault. They could do that. They could implement some sort of system where vault only drops and plus items from the dungeons they have cleared that week, but actually this wouldn't work that well. They could instead make it somehow good for you to do a world tour every single week or day with Mythic Plus, and include some sort of system like that. This is really not that hard. Blizzard has had these systems in the past in Heroics or Mythics. Even Season of Discovery has the coins that are dropping from each dungeon that you do every single day, each boss you kill. Something like this could easily be done in Mythic Plus as well. You could reward players with gold by doing tours of the whole, season 1 dungeons every single week or something like that. It would work. It would be easily done. And I think this kind of system would actually reduce toxicity. It would make it easier to repeat keys, to get good. It would just be good. I think it would make it a lot, healthier and easier to progress. And I think most high-end players actually agree that the key system is just not logical anymore. It really doesn't make sense, especially when you take a pug and they leave and you have to go do the same key again, but that means you're not getting any reward for that key because let's say it's not dropping the right kind of crest you're hunting, or it will not drop items at the right item level. I think it's just kind of really awkward. I think the delve system was almost made to test out the potential way how Mythic Plus might work in the future. So yeah, that's how I would change this for now. I will probably make more videos on these topics when I get more ideas, when Blizzard, releases more patches like these. But yeah, that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.